Welcome, lovely one, to the Meant for More podcast. My name's Lisa Clifford, and I am building the world's most empowering Meant for More movement, leading millions of heart-led purpose seekers from feeling insignificant to invincible. So I truly hope you enjoy this next episode. And we have the wonderful Hester Bedet. Is it Bedet?
Bedet.
Bedet from Holland. And Hester has this wonderful cocktail of expertise that brings this beautiful blend of healing out into the world. Am I saying your name right, Hester?
Hester.
Hester, lovely. So Hester is a sound healer, a coach, a master practitioner of neuro-linguistic programming, has a training in hypnosis, and does family constellation, which I am very familiar with, and it is very powerful. But not everybody that's listening will know what that is. So perhaps in the conversation that we have, we can include some form of education in that, maybe, Hester. But welcome.
Thank you
so much for sharing this space with us all today. And I'd love to start off with the question that really this podcast is about. This is the Meant for More podcast, where people have that feeling, that stirring, that energy, that knowing, that ache within them that they know they're meant for more. But I believe it takes great courage to accept that feeling is there and then tap into what is that. So can you call on an experience and share with us where you've had that feeling of, I know I am meant for more, and just share your story connected to that experience?
Yes, thank you. Thank you for being here on your beautiful podcast. I was thinking about that question just before this, and I think it was about 7-8 years ago. I was in summer driving with the car with 4 girls in my car, little ones, 2 of mine and 2 daughters of my sister, and I was going to the zoo with them, and suddenly I had this thing like, am I meant for more? Is this, and I mean, I love going with the girls to a zoo or whatever things to do with them, but I was like, there is more and I can do more, and what's in it in me that needs to come out. And that's when my journey started in what do I want to bring to this world. And that it just happened on this car ride going to the zoo. I mean, that's so wonderful. Yeah, how things pop up in your mind when you're going somewhere. Because I was on a journey going somewhere, and I felt like, yeah, there should be more. And that's when I started exploring what's in it for me. And that's how I started with doing a course in exploring what needs to come out, what's there for me. And I found out with this coaching, but also a dynamic coaching with art. And this is how everything started. And also the singing bowls came in. It's like, yeah, bit by bit on my road, things came by, and I just took in what I felt. Yeah, this is what I can do. This is what I really feel I can do and help others with.
And so it began with wanting to include more soul connected activities. How has that changed your life then? So you do the singing bowls, you learnt art. What are the other things that you learnt, and how did it then have a profound impact on your life?
Yeah, I think the very first thing that started with me is over 25 years ago, that I was, living my life, going to my work and not really happy in a relationship. And then this course of Silva Mind came up, and I followed this. And that's when I started seeing like, wow, you can really change your life with your mindset and how you can look at things, see things from a different perspective. And this is what I use to also step out of a toxic relationship. Yeah, this way my whole life shifted. Yeah, you take other directions, and I started traveling around the world. My whole perspective shifted just by traveling. It's just amazing how so many things start changing by doing a personal development course, traveling, and all the things that pop up in your life that you might see as problems, but you can also see it like, hey, this is something I might learn from. Just see it differently.
And so you say you left a toxic relationship, and I think toxic relationships are very complex to get out of.
Yes.
There's a lot of reintroducing yourself to yourself when you're, first of all, acknowledging I can't sustain being in this toxic relationship. This isn't for me. I'm meant for more. And so there's the reintroduction of yourself to yourself whilst you are injured in a toxic relationship. One becomes injured either emotionally, mentally, physically, or even how we see the world or what's possible for us. And I'm curious, what did you draw upon? Because there's on a headline version, I left a toxic relationship, I traveled the world. It's a bit of a headline at the moment that
Yes.
I would love people to be able to see in your story the little steps that then led to such a massive change. But what would you say you drew upon in order to acknowledge that you were in a toxic relationship, that it wasn't for you to keep fixing? And then how did you then start to remove yourself from it?
Yeah. Well, of course, in the beginning of a relationship, you don't see it immediately. And at a certain point, I saw like, wow, there's a lot of alcohol involved here. And then you think, I can manage, I can cope with this. It's not every day. But step by step, you feel like it doesn't feel good. This is not for me. It's getting more, also a bit of the aggressive side. And I didn't feel safe anymore. And I think that was the point. Like, I have to leave this relationship. It doesn't feel safe.
How far into it were you? How long have you been together for?
I think this was after maybe 2.5 years.
Yeah.
Then
Yeah.
I was like,
Because there's a lot of work we do in those 2.5 years of thinking that I must be doing something wrong. I speak from my own experience as well here. So
yeah,
for me, I felt like I must be doing something wrong. I must be able to fix this. I
yes,
specialize in helping people. Surely this person is this way towards me because there's something wrong with them. And for me, I kept empathizing with the broken boy, the boy that had been abandoned. And so I kept thinking, but he's like this because of his childhood. And so I kept over accommodating bad behavior and kept making it like a puppy wanting to please its owner. And so did you go through that period of trying to fix it before realizing, A, this isn't mine to fix, and B, it's way outside my expertise because we're too close, aren't we, to fix anything? So what was your experience? For some reason, I feel like some people will resonate with this part of your journey, and then I promise you we'll move on.
yes, I recognize your story. I've really felt, what can I do? How can we change things, make it different, that I can feel safe again? But it seemed like it got worse instead of better. And then, it always, what was it? Like, I couldn't go anywhere on my own. He wanted to be with me. You cannot go out on your own. And it only got worse.
And do you
And
think that it feels like it gets worse rather than better because it's in our awareness?
Yes.
When we've now got our eyes on it, we can see it. We're no longer in denial. We're no longer blaming ourselves. We're no longer accommodating. We're no longer with our head in the sand. It just seems like it's getting worse because we can't unsee it and we can't unknow it. And we know we've got to do something about it.
Yeah.
And so for that experience for you where he was with you all the time, how did you dig a bit deeper and then extract yourself? Because it takes courage to acknowledge that this is what's happening. It takes even more courage where you think, oh, I'm spending it all in the acknowledgement. It takes even more courage to extract yourself. How did you do it?
Yeah, as I said, one day I saw this course coming up of Silver Mind, and then I knew, like, this is what I need to help myself to step out of this relationship, because I knew I needed someone or something, that I had the feeling I wasn't doing it all alone, because I didn't know where to start on my own. And with this was so helpful for me, and I started doing visualizations that it would go fine when I would say I no longer want to stay in this relationship. And so this is how I prepared myself, and it took me months to prepare this before I definitely could say this is.
And they say when a woman tells you she's going, she left 6 months earlier.
Yeah.
In her mind. And what the absolute nugget that you've just said there, Hester, is I did visualizations where you visualize yourself in your new life, the way you want life to be.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because when we do that, our mind believes us, doesn't it? It then knows, I know what you need for that life, and we become it. Our mind doesn't differentiate between visualization and reality. It thinks if you visualized it, you've experienced it, so therefore it is possible. So I love that. When we think that we have to initially take big steps, actually the step that we can take that's completely within our gift, that nobody can take away from us, nobody can deprive us of it, is what we choose to see in our own mind. I think if you say nothing else in this conversation, that is incredible liberation, freedom, empowerment. So I love that. So from the silver, what's it called?
Silver mind control.
Silver mind control.
Yeah, I did that course. I think it was 1995, something like that, 1996. Yeah, long time ago. But it is still helpful until today. And I still remember that I really spent my last penny on it. And I was like, I need to do this I was that desperate to get out of the relationship that I thought, this is going to help. I just felt it. I knew immediately this will help me. I didn't know at that time it would help me until today. It's not that I use it every day, but when I need to, I can just tap into things that I've learned back then.
I love that. I think that when we're spending money on a course, we can often see it as the price and money being left in the past with the course, can't we? But when I think when we're investing in a course, that more it costs, some of the time when a course is very expensive, or the amount of money to us at the time is a lot.
Yeah.
We extract as much out of it as possible. We take a responsibility for making sure that money was worth it, don't we?
Yeah.
Therefore, we become even more empowered, because then we think, right, I want this knowledge to stay with me forever, and therefore it does. So I'd love for us to talk a bit about family constellation, because for some people they'll have never heard of it. And I had an experience of this on my Firewalking Instructor Training Masters course. And we were in Switzerland, and it was an absolutely gorgeous day. I could feel in my being that I was going to volunteer myself. Now I get a stirring. I think I'm going to volunteer and something, and it's like a knowing. I mean, I know we can just say, yes, I want to have a go, but it was unusual for me because normally I'd let other people have a go first and I'll go last because I need it less, or other people might need it more than me.
Yeah.
And then we broke for coffee, and I kept feeling this nervousness in my tummy. And I thought, when we go in, I'm going to put my hand up. But then what happened was the weather started to change. So we had to go and shut all the roof vents, all the roof windows, and shut the doors. And so it's just that the weather started to completely change. And I put my hand up and I was picked. Other people had put theirs up as well, but I was picked. And so during my family constellation experience, where I have to stay quiet, and even though I want to say, well, no, Matt, that wouldn't happen, or that person wouldn't say that, I had to stay completely separate and let it play out. It was rare that there was moments where, well, that wouldn't happen. But at the end, and then this enormous hailstone came, and this group were quite shamanic people, and this enormous hailstone, it was absolutely golf balls bouncing off the windows, off the roof windows. And at the end, when the father and daughter came together, which was me and my dad, the sun came back out. The trees started to gently move. It was like otherworldly and really profound. And so that was my one and only experience of family constellation, and I had no idea what to expect. So how would you describe it, and what happens for people in it that you work with?
Well, my first experience with family constellation is maybe 5-6 years ago when I saw it in a group. I went there, and as you, I think, thought like other people needed more than me, but I've been a volunteer as well, participating in it, and then I followed a course on it because I was that curious to see what's more on this, to deepen it. And I found out myself that I like to work with gemstones, just a one-on-one. I noticed I'm not the one that wants to lead a whole group with people, that kind of stuff. That wasn't for me. But the one-on-one, as we sit like now and work with gemstones, this is so powerful. When I use gemstones, I just ask which gemstone represents your mother. Which one would you like to see for your father and for your brother and sister? And then they look at it and they tell me, and then I shift the stones, and they say like, no. This is good. This is good. And there's a big gap between people in this family. And when you start moving and you say, can you look at it in another way? If someone comes closer to you, how does this feel? And people really feel, and I can see it in their face, there is something moving in them. There is a shift. And I've seen many, many times a breakthrough in 10 minutes or within 30 minutes just by moving gemstones in another direction. And of course, yourself is in it as well. You represent one gemstone as well. And it's so powerful. You really feel the moving when your mother comes closer to you, or a sister, or if you do this with your own family, with your children, and you see in a constellation, people put like a child somewhere on the side. And then if you put this child in front of them, it's different. And afterwards, people come back with, wow, I haven't told my family that I've done this, but they respond in a different, more positive way on me. And then I think, wow, this is great. This is fantastic. And you do it yourself, and your whole environment shifts with you.
Yeah, I think there's something energetically that happens within us that then sends a vibration out as well, doesn't it? I did a post on LinkedIn today saying that, you know, our belief is invisible like Wi-Fi is, but the two are connected. The Wi-Fi connects us, doesn't it? But our belief connects us, and I think it connects us to our perspective, then what we see, what we feel, what we do, what we expect.
Yes.
And there's so much that just shifts within us, even though we cannot change other people. But how would we be if we believed something different of somebody else? As you know, when you see it played out with the family constellation, as you've just described with the gemstones, you know, if I imagine my childhood, for example, I was always left out, especially when we moved in with my stepmom when I was 14. So my stepmom and dad would walk in front. Then it would be my two younger sisters. They'd walk together, and I'd always be left on my own in so many situations. And so just as you were describing the gemstones, I was thinking, I wonder what would happen if we just put that gemstone right in the middle. And then there's an end. And I as you were describing it, I thought, what would I feel? And I thought I just felt this expansion in my body. And then I thought, oh, I no longer need to feel excluded. So just even me visualizing you talking about the gemstones, my own story, and imagining it, it's quite powerful, isn't it?
Yes, it is very powerful. And I believe people underestimate this, how powerful it is. And because most people think like with family constellations, and then you have to go somewhere with strangers, and then you have to talk, and it's all that. And with me, it's just one-on-one and the stones. And this is really in a safe space, and you don't have to talk with anyone. You only have to say, yeah, move it a bit like this. And then I say, what happens with you if I put your stone here? And then you can see the change, like, that's a bit too much. All right, we're going too fast. This is also a powerful possibility. You don't have to always go somewhere with a group of people.
Yeah. It sounds absolutely magical. Out of all of your challenging experiences you've had in your life, what one of your tools do you use the most that has helped you in your most challenging experiences?
The most is the visualization, because this is something I always have with me, no matter where I am. I cannot always take a singing bowl with me or other things, but I always have myself. And visualization, that's for me so powerful to use in a challenging situation.
Tell me about breathing. So when you say I always have visualization, I always have breathing, like that is, of course, but you mean something a little bit more powerful. I mean, breathing is very powerful. I mean, imagine where we'd be without it, I know. But just tell me a bit more about how you use the power of breath for challenging situations.
Your breath is an easy and powerful tool if you just only think about just breathe in like 4 counts, and you hold it for a moment, and then you breathe out longer. By breathing out longer than breathing in, your body starts to relax and it releases tension. And
because we have cellular memory in our tension, don't we? We have memory in our breath and our tension, and releasing the breath can also help release that recall, that memory, can't it? Not the memory, it's energy. Have I said that right?
Yes, it's also with the visualization. If you just visualize when you breathe in the positivity, the things that you want at this moment. You just breathe it in. And when you breathe out, you just breathe out the tension, the things that no longer serve you in this moment. Just feel that you breathe out. This is something you can always use, no matter where you are.
You see, we forget to breathe, I think, sometimes, don't we? I know when I'm running a seminar and because people don't know exactly what we're going to be doing and when we're going to be doing it. So they kind of hold on. And in a way, they're holding on to their control, where they don't know what we're going to be doing. And with that, or when I bring an arrow out, a breakthrough exercise, there is that kind of holding the breath. And when we put a reflection up of, right, everybody breathe, because we have to remind people to breathe. There's something just so releasing with breathing. Every time somebody says, right, take a breath, I go, it's like just a gift to be given permission to take a breath. And yet it's something that we do naturally, but we hold on to our breath so much that it starts to build up a sense of resistance, a sense of tension that we need to consciously sometimes let go of.
Yeah.
Which is why following the sound of somebody's voice is so powerful.
Yeah. Yes, it is. And also with if people listen to my singing bowls, that I've made many musical experiences that are so soft and bring serenity, and the singing bowls also release the tension and your breath starts to calm down. Just listening to the music. You can listen to a meditation and follow the sounds of the voice, but also listening to soft, calming music helps to calm down the mind, the breath, the body relaxes.
We're so in our head a lot, and I know that we've said that visualization is instantly accessible and powerful tool, and it is. But sometimes we accidentally use visualization for things we don't want. Because our mind can often go to worst case scenario, because people often have a belief set up of, well, if I imagine the worst case scenario, at least I won't be disappointed if it happens. But the problem with that is the mind thinks we want everything we think about. But when we visualize something, we actually feel like we've lived it. So it's really great to notice when we've stopped breathing, that kind of tension or clenching of the jaw or the furrowing of the brow. Notice what's going on in the face and think, what my face is representing my thoughts. What thoughts am I having that's creating this anticipation or this resistance or this tension? And if I just change my thoughts and breathe, then I can be back in my flow. Because when we're in our flow, our energetic flow, our self-trust, our self-love, then we're in our most powerful state of being and state of thinking.
Yes.
So for you in your world, because you use sound, you use mindset, you use family constellation, gems, and tarot.
Yes.
So how does the tarot fit into that?
Well, if I'm in coaching sessions, sometimes I feel people don't say everything they want to say. I can sense there is more, and it would be good for them to deepen this a little bit. And if I take out the cards, I can see a lot in the cards. And when I mention what I see, then they open up more, and then they say, yes, that is true. I remember, and then it all comes out. And I think it's really an amazing tool to get to the core of things, taking out this angle that's been there for many, many years. And sometimes people aren't aware of it.
Yeah. I'm imagining, though, because for some people listening, they might say, tarot cards in a coaching session, that's all a load of mumbo jumbo.
No.
What's your response to to that?
I see tarot as a tool to give you some insights in yourself, and you get some advice from it. It's more a tool for advising people and giving them the insights they haven't thought about or haven't seen them yet. It's so powerful. I was doing it this morning with someone on the phone, and she was like, yeah, I don't know. And I was talking about, I always feel things when I talk with people and when I look at the cards. And I was telling her, well, I see this and that. And she was like, what? Yes, that is so true. How did you know? This is so true. This is what I've always felt in me, but I couldn't give words to it, you know? And
So it sounds to me like you're incredibly careful when you bring it out. It's often when somebody's blocked, and equally they can rule it out as well, can't they? It's not something you're enforcing. It's something like,
no,
here's a perspective that's
no,
coming from this third party
yeah,
tool, and do you relate to it or not? And I even sometimes think at the worst case, best case, somebody can say, no, that's not true, it's this. And they've still served, the worst case scenario is they don't relate to it. It's still served a purpose of helping them unearth some block thinking.
yeah. And sometimes it happens that someone says, I don't recognize this. And then I just go on, I keep going. And then suddenly they say, now I see what you meant before. So sometimes it needs to sink in. Yeah.
So, in the spirit of meant for more, what's up next for you, Hester? What's the more in your life next?
More is go out more with my music. My perspective is to travel more outside of the Netherlands and to come to you and have this wonderful experience of the calming sounds and meditations that I give, to let people experience this live, because I get a lot of comments on my YouTube channel from people all over the world that they just love it. They fall asleep easily.
There's a lot
They use it
about
after, yeah, they use my music after work to get rid of the tension. And they say like, how would it be if you were here live? So I feel more and more that, yeah, I should go travel with all my equipment and just bring it live into the world and bring it to retreats.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Lovely. And for those that have that stirring, that meant for more ache that they've got in them, what would be a piece of wisdom or a mantra or a story you could share that would help them take a step?
Yeah. Like for me, I started my coaching journey years ago, and I knew I should make a post and get out into the world, but I was just too scared. And making videos, I never did that until 2 years ago. And I just want to show you that for me, who was like on the background, not showing up and just doing little by little, starting with a post, putting a picture with yourself, write something that you believe in, and not to worry about how many people will read this. And so I did this step by step, from posting, going to making videos, getting out, and now giving sound journeys for groups of people. If you'd said to me like, oh, you're going to do that, and you said that 7 years ago when I was arriving at the zoo, I wouldn't believe you. I would do that. Could not imagine I would do that. But it's really taking one step and then you take another step, and you're stretching more and more out of your comfort zone. And look at me doing this podcast with you now. That's also a step for me.
And when you say comfort zone, when you know that you're meant for more,
Yeah.
your comfort zone is no longer very comfortable.
No.
And so you're in a position of unfamiliarity and discomfort. You might as well be in it moving towards something that gives you purpose and meaning.
Yeah, you just feel that. And yeah, as I say, when you feel like, oh, making a post and get it out, I feel all right, then you know I gotta do something else that I don't feel comfortable with.
Yeah, it's just becoming okay, or even embrace the lack of comfort, because it doesn't mean it's really uncomfortable. It just means it isn't comfortable. So it's just embracing the lack of comfort whilst we're growing.
Yeah.
So Hester, this has been an absolutely fantastic conversation. Really amazing gems in it that I know people will be resonating with. And I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart to yours. Thank you so much for your love and kindness and presence today.
Thank you so much, Lisa. I really appreciate it to be on your podcast.
You're welcome.
Thanks.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode. If you would like to be involved in the Meant for More movement, then please drop me a line at lisa@lisaclifford.co.uk. Whether that's you're interested in being on the podcast, taking part in any of the trainings, or would just love to know how you can help empower others, then let's have a conversation. Thank you for listening, and we'll connect again very soon.